Hello. Welcome to Parenting with DBT, the next video. This is the first video in which that I've had feedback about how the videos are going. I'd like to clarify the following rumors. 1, I like this background. I know I have a different background at home that people like, but I like this one, even though there's a little pipe thing right there. Looks very... Some people say that looks unprofessional. I disagree. I think it shows that I'm a human being, just like the rest of you. Obviously, I've also heard some comments about the hair and the beard. I'm not cutting it. Not right now. It's not what's happening. And I know that it's making it over the lips and it's out of control. And my wife uses words like homeless, but that's what she does. That's whatever. And speaking of which, we're going to talk about a DBT skill for parents that's quite useful. I know it's helped me from a parent's perspective, and it's helped me in life, and this is the how skill. I think of the how skill as a mindfulness skill that talks about how we can be more mindful. It's also how can we observe a little bit more effectively? How can we describe? How can we participate? So how? Lots of hows there. The how skill starts off with the first skill of being non-judgmental. And the non-judgmental skill takes us into an easy conversation about judging and judgments. So obviously, we have to make judgments in order to get through life. But Marsha Linehan kind of clarified and talked about how we have to judge, but we want to judge as a parent, especially based on criteria. So there's a big difference between saying son or daughter or non-binary kid, your grades are awful. That's very judgmental. But if we use a criteria, your grade point average was 3.4 last term, and it's 2.3 this term. We have experienced a decrease. A decrease in grades, have we, is a lot better. It's less confrontational, and it's definitely less judgmental. And we are citing a judgment that there's been a decrease in grades, but we're using a criteria that doesn't have to do with my opinion or their worth, and that tends to add something to that makes the exchange a little bit more productive. So we want to avoid these judgments that are hooked into just our opinion, and that's what it means to be non-judgmental. A common example I use is that of the room. We walk up to the room, knock, knock, knock. Your room is awful. Your room's a mess. Your room, needs tons of improvement. We can go in non-judgmentally and say there's a lot of clothing items on the floor. Please take these clothing items, and I'd like you to put them in the hamper. There we go. So that's our first skill. We have the skill of non-judgment. Our next skill is what's called one mindfully, or do one thing at a time. We are more effective as parents, and we are more mindful as a human being and more mindful as a parent when we're able to do one thing at a time. Studies show that multitasking really doesn't set us up for failure. I mean, it does set us up for failure, and it doesn't really make our lives more productive. We might have the false idea that it does, but studies really show that doing one thing at a time just doesn't really help. So I would recommend just doing one task at a time. And this also means that in our conversations with our adolescent or child, we want to stick to one subject at a time, even if that subject is one of confrontation. Finally, we have the skill of being effective as opposed to being right or being correct. A lot of parents struggle with being correct. They want to be right. They want to be seen as right, and they want to teach their child about what is correct. And this can't happen. It can't happen And it doesn't really happen very healthily. Yes, doesn't happen very healthily. And being effective has been found to be the way that gets us the results that we want more. What does it mean to be effective? It means that as a parent, it's helpful to have a goal, something that we're working towards. And being effective are things that are going to get us to our goal in the most efficient, least destructive way. So an example of this might be if an adolescent expresses themselves. No, wait. I've got it. So if an adolescent does something that perhaps requires a talking to, let's say they insult their sibling, and we hear them say it. We're in the next room and we hear our child insult the other in a really mean way, and we hear that, we're like, ooh. And so we first confront them on it, and they're like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Now we can stay on them and be like, you did. I heard you. And we can create this confrontation that's not really going to go anywhere. Or maybe for our adolescent, it's more effective to talk to them about it, maybe when we're in the car, or maybe when we're out at a coffee shop, or if we're eating lunch together. Maybe that's a better time to talk about it instead of right after the fact and when there's other siblings within earshot. And so the idea here is that a parent that's concerned with being right is going to come out and it's going to be like, you did it. You did, and I saw you. Okay? But a parent that's focused on being effective is going to be like, that's something I want to bring up with them later when we're in the car, one-on-one. That's an example of being effective. Okay, so just to recap, this is the how skill. We can find ourselves being more mindful by being non-judgmental, doing one thing at a time, and focusing on being effective instead of being correct or being seen as correct. Thank you. You guys have been wonderful to have, and thank you for all your feedback. Please like the video, subscribe. It's just great to make these videos. Very grateful to do it. Thank you. I'm turning the video off now.